Good evening, and welcome to the 76th edition of Cleveland Sports Realm. In honor of the Toe, Lou Groza, the most famous Browns player to ever wear 76. And that is where we begin tonight, and I apologize for saying good evening because most of you actually are going to listen to this in the morning tomorrow to get yourself ready for the NFL draft. Kevin is just over here just salivating. He can't wait. He's under 20. No, he's at 24 and a half
24
hours.
24 and a half hours. 24 and a half hours plus a minute. Yeah,
okay.
24 hours, 31 minutes.
This guy worships the NFL draft.
Yeah, it's 7:30 as we record Wednesday evening.
So he's going to have a lot to say on the episode this evening, and I'll throw in a little bit here and there, but to be perfectly honest with you folks, I couldn't try to be as educated on Kevin as the NFL draft. It's just not going to happen. So we're going to get there. We're going to get to the draft. But we begin this evening with our Cleveland Cavaliers, who they head back to Canada with a 2-0 commanding lead, I would say.
Yes.
2 double-digit wins. And, you know, Kevin, I got nothing to bitch about. I went to game one. It was a blast. Remember, I was talking myself into it last week.
Well, we both were, actually. The more we were talking, we probably talked about the Cavs, previewing this Cavs-Raptors series, and probably about 10 to 15 minutes in, we acknowledged, like, the more we were talking about it, the more amped up that we were getting. And maybe the Cavs were listening to that episode last week because they've come out absolutely firing on all cylinders through the first 2 games.
And we know if you go back to episodes in March and February, my previous opinions on James Harden, boy, has he been magnificent the first 2 games. God. I mean, the double-teamed rainbow threes, the swishes at the end of the shot clock, the passing, the facilitation, the eye vision, the court vision.
Everything that you wanted when you acquired him, he has displayed through these first 2 games. I mean, this is what, and I talked a lot about it last week. I said if they don't get out of the second round, and granted they're not there yet, but if they don't get out of the second round, if they don't advance further than they had the last few years, that this trade was an absolute disappointment and a failure. If he keeps playing ball like this and the Cavs keep playing ball like this, judging off what's happened also in that Pistons-Magic series, the Cavs could very well be looking at an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, which at that point I would have to acknowledge that this trade was a major success. I mean, James Harden has facilitated, taken care of the ball. He got away with, I saw ESPN and SportsCenter had tweeted out one of his, how he had dropped Scotty Barnes on one of his threes. It was a clear push-off. He was not called for it, but I shouldn't say drained it because it hit the rim, bounced up, swirled around a little bit and went in, but he cashed the three. And he's scoring, Jerome, like you said, facilitating great. It's been awesome that we have somebody now that when Donovan Mitchell steps out of the game, we can trust somebody with the ball who's been in the league for over 15 years, who's done it at a high level, been an all-star 10-plus years, former MVP. Like, this is a guy that you can trust with the game, and with the ball in his hands, with the game on the line, in reliable moments. And that's not something that we could say with Darius Garland. It's just not. And the trade, what James Harden's done through these first 2 games, it cannot be overstated, in my opinion.
Oh, I completely agree. And to your point, you know, I attended game 1 with my dad and a friend of the show, Phil Yan, who's been on here.
He even had 5 steals. Sorry to interrupt you. He had 5 steals in game 2.
Oh, I know. And friend of the show, Matt Pastorell, our Cavs insider almost on the show. And
yeah.
And, you know, we had talked, the 4 of us were sitting there, you know, commentating throughout. And I mentioned to all those guys, I go, look at what's happening right now. It's the second quarter. I go, Donovan was never able to sit down for 5 minutes ever since he's shown up in this city in a playoff series. I go, now you can do that because you trust Harden out there. Game 1. And the nice thing for Donovan is Donovan's done exactly what we thought he'd do, right? Like, no problems. I mean, he's been magnificent. You know, when the Raptors started making a 6-point game in game 2, Kevin, Donovan Mitchell basically looked at the boys and said, in a nutshell, F this. They're not coming back. This is our house.
Yep.
We're taking care of business. He went on his own 7-0 run, and he said, oh, hell no. Not tonight. Hell no.
He said, hell no.
No, he did. And that's beautiful to see. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Donovan can do that in the fourth quarter now because they can rest him throughout the other 3 in various spots. And Donovan could do that in the past years, but he was exhausted doing so. Yep. Now he's doing it with fresh legs. And we could talk about Donovan and James for ad nauseum. But let's also point out that each game so far, they've had a big 3 to their 3. Game 1, it was Max Strus. He was outstanding. In Game 2, it was the much maligned Evan Mobley.
Yeah, Evan Mobley, I think even in Game 1 he played well. 17 and 7, he didn't have to do a lot, but efficient offensively, and then obviously tremendously defensively. That just comes with the territory with Evan Mobley on the defensive side of the ball. And then Game 2, like you just said, Jerome, I want to say he was 25 points, 8 rebounds. Absolutely outplayed Scotty Barnes. That's the matchup that we were both talking about last week that we really had eyes on, that both fan bases were really looking at. Like who's the more impactful player on the court? And so far through 2 games, it's undoubtedly been Evan Mobley. I can even admit that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the important thing is for the Cavaliers moving forward, you got to keep getting the outstanding performances from 1 and 45, and I think you will. And all they need, it could be Evan Mobley, it could be Max Strus, hell, it could be Jared Allen. As long as they get a third guy to be that big, third wheel, but in a good way.
Yeah,
they get that. They're not gonna have any problems.
Yeah, and Jared Allen's been borderline irrelevant in this series so far. But again, to your point, he really hasn't. They haven't needed him to do anything. Evan Mobley's been great. The other 2, obviously, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, have been great. Something that surprised me is how limited. Maybe not even limited, but how little Jalen Tyson's actually been on the court. Now, I know in Game 1, I want to say in his first 3 minutes in the first quarter, he had 3 fouls. So therefore, just by that alone, he had to not play a lot. And then in Game 2, I don't even think he got 15 minutes. And that's a guy that coming in last week that you and I talked about, maybe that can be one of those impactful guys on the court that really impacts the ball on the defensive side. Maybe not offensive, maybe hit down a couple 3-point shots here or there when he's open. But we really haven't seen the impact of Jalen Tyson this series so far.
No, I think Jalen Tyson's actually, if there's one thing to bitch about, it's been him. He's kind of had a bad series.
Yeah, which does surprise me because he seemed like, granted, for how young of a player he is, obviously only his second year in the league, it's been surprising because I feel like he's been Mr. Consistent throughout the year for the Cavs defensively and then from the 3-point line. So it has been kind of surprising to me that he's been irrelevant in this series.
He did tail off a little bit lately. Like if you look at the March and April numbers, he was trending the opposite direction. I'll tell you, if you want to talk about defense, Dean Wade has been a problem for the Raptors.
Yeah, and that's kind of been his calling card for us. I mean, that's something that we, even going back a few years ago, when I believe you, me, a friend of the show, Kyle, were at the Cavs-Celtics game when the Cavs came all the way back from 22+, the Dean Wade game. Granted, that was a lot of offense from him, but he was shutting down Jaylen Brown. Like that, he's one of those guys that I really do trust on the perimeter. If he's guarding somebody at the 3, or even if I don't want to say I completely trust him if he's guarding a Jason Tatum, because I don't really. Like I trust Tatum to score on Dean Wade in that point, but I don't feel extremely uncomfortable if Wade's on him. Like I think he would play tough enough defense. Dean Wade's been the guy where it seems like he's either hot or cold when it comes to the 3-point ball, and we've seen him get hot and we've seen him get cold. But yeah, his impact's been great so far this series. You can't complain. He's been a great starter at the 3 so far.
And here's my thing with Dean Wade. He's the longest tenured Cav. Like he's made it through multiple coaches, multiple general managers. There's a reason that everybody always wants to keep around Dean Wade. Yeah. He's absolutely a perfect glue guy, perfect starter, to not expect much offensively. He can bury a few trays when needed and then just play outstanding defense, and that's what he's done so far. And, I want to give the Cavs as a collective a shout out because they have shut down Brandon Ingram. He's been virtually useless the first 2 games.
And who's been on him? Dean Wade.
Exactly. Toronto's getting, it was a perfect transition. Toronto's getting, they're getting a lot of their offense actually from their bench. Murray Boyles, Mamukhalishvili, all those guys, they're stepping up.
Yeah.
And even Jamal Shed has been really, really good offensively, filling in for Quickly. Now, RJ Barrett's actually been very, very good this series, too.
Yeah, RJ Barrett's played well, and he actually came out. You can tell the Cavs are getting in the Raptors' head right now, by the way, because RJ Barrett came out. He was asked about Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. And I feel like typically when it comes to the playoffs in particular, when you're asked about an opposing player, it's like, yeah, no, he's a good player, but we got to do our job and step up and stop him. He straight up said James Harden and Donovan Mitchell are a problem.
Yeah.
That was his quote. Like, they are a problem.
Well, and RJ has, since he last played in the playoffs with the Knicks a handful of years back, his improvement as an NBA player is like skyrocketed. Like he is a much better player, I think, than he was back when him and Julius Randle were headlining those Knick teams.
Yeah, and I think that's what we see with the Raptors, and you and I talked about it last week in the sense that the Raptors are a talented team. They have talented players, but it doesn't seem like they fit. Like it seems like RJ Barrett is a guy who likes to have the ball in his hands. Ingram likes to have the ball in his hands. Scotty Barnes, you know, when he was coming out in that draft, he was compared to like a Draymond Green that could do a little bit of it all. Rebound, can pass, can score when needed occasionally, but seems like he likes to have the ball in his hands. I actually got worried in game one when he started out like 3 of 3 from the three-point line. I literally I was hanging out with a good friend of ours, his name's Dave, and I said, if this ends up being the Draymond Green Game 7 game out of freaking Scotty Barnes, I'm going to lose my mind, because the Raptors came in one of the worst, if not the worst, three-point shooting team in the NBA. I know they were at least bottom 5, and they came out firing threes. I literally thought it was going to be a reenactment of the Pacers series last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Jamal Shedd's been big in that department, you know, and he's filling in. And you could tell, excuse me, sorry.
No, you're okay.
You could tell that the Raptors, they missed quickly.
Yes.
Big time. And I don't know, you know, will he be back tomorrow for game 3? That remains to be seen. But I think, you know, we've pretty much won by double digits both games. The first game was pretty much over by the beginning of the fourth quarter for all intents and purposes. Game 2 was much more closer. And I think if they get Quigley back, that puts Shed back on the bench where he probably belongs. He could come in and splash threes, not have to be the primary ball handler. I think it makes a big difference if Quigley's back. And
with the series going to Toronto.
Absolutely.
Toronto's a very tough place to play.
We the North, you know, they're big on that.
That's their whole thing.
And, you know, and I don't know how else to say this, but Toronto's bench has actually probably outperformed the Cavaliers' bench. It's just the Cavaliers' star players have just been leaps and bounds over Toronto's supposed to be number one guy in Brandon Ingram. And Ingram came out and was like bitching, for lack of a better term, about how he didn't have the ball in his hands enough in game 1, and he didn't do it, and that ain't nobody going to win games, I think was the quote, with me only taking 9 shots. And then game 2, they tried to set up opportunities for him. The Cavs smothered him, and he really didn't get much of a chance in game 2. Like, he knocked down a 3, and it's like, okay, is Brandon Ingram going to get going? Because this could actually be a difference in the series. And then the Cavs were like, once again, oh, hell no. We ain't letting that guy get going. It ain't going to happen. And that's essentially what the series has come down to. The Raptors' role players are playing better than the Cavaliers, I would say. But the Cavaliers,
they don't have a single player on their team that's better than Donovan Mitchell or better than James Harden.
That's exactly right. And the Cavs stars have come to play, and it helps the Cavs stars that their role players are doing enough where, like, even you said, okay, Jared Allen's been, from a star point of view, you could say he's been quiet, but look at the way game 2 started. He scored like the first 8 points. Look at the way game 1 started. Him and Harden were terrorizing Toronto on the pick and roll.
Max Strus in game 1 went on a little bit of a heat check.
It seemed like as well. Points.
Well, yeah, that, and then also, dude, that play at the end of the first half is one of my favorite Cavs plays ever. The steal with the lob, and then the last second Strus with the layup at the end. Like Strus, absolutely, he had a phenomenal first half, carried it into the second half. Like you said, Jerome, each game so far they've had a third player step up in a huge way.
And I also think for Strus, it's nice to see him back out there healthy again, obviously, because go back to 2 years ago playoffs, Max Strus was actually phenomenal. And a lot of people, including me, like, were looking for ways to get him out of here. And I think the best version of Max Strus and the best version of the Cavaliers involves him being out there and being a key contributor in the postseason. Yeah,
I agree, and I'm glad that he's not part of the starting lineup though for the team as well, because it seemed like that was something that they were very stubborn in deciding to do. Was moving him to the bench. And granted, I think the injury probably played a huge part into why he's been relegated to that role. but it's been to the benefit of the team. He comes off the bench, and it seems like they try to give him a shot or two almost immediately to see, okay, is he hot tonight or not?
Because Max Strus either hot as hell or cold as ice.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I actually like that when he comes into the game, like, okay, let's see what kind of night it is for him.
Right. It's a perfect role for him. And, there's one other last thing about the Cavs and, as we move forward to Toronto. I don't want to be the negative Nancy around here, but, you've put yourself in a position where obviously you're going there looking for the sweep, but you almost could afford to lose a game now at the Air Canada Center. It's not called that anymore. The Scotiabank Center.
Yeah, whatever it's called. I mean, you can afford to lose one, but you cannot. I don't think you can go into Toronto with that mindset. I mean,
no.
I want them to go in and play loose, though. Like, I want them to play how they've been playing. You can tell that they have been playing like there's no pressure on them at all. And I want them to continue to do that going into Toronto. However, going into Toronto up 2-0, the Toronto crowd's going to be rowdy. I'm sure the nerves and the pressure's going to maybe not get to them a little bit, but they'll probably start to feel it a little bit.
Sure.
You need to come out. You need to play disciplined basketball, not turn the ball over. Because if we see what we saw, a couple of years ago, specifically with the Magic, where you go up in a series early and you go into that territory or you go into the away stadium or arena and you start thinking that you've already had the series won and you start playing careless basketball, this series could be tied up going back to Cleveland. Now all the pressure's on you.
Right. And I think that's okay for us as fans of the Cavaliers to think that. But Kenny and the locker room should absolutely be thinking, we're going to Toronto to put the kill shot in.
By the way, the Sixers taking one in Boston without Joel Embiid gives me a little bit of confidence that this team might be able to actually make a serious push.
Well, that for one, and for two, you can't say the Sixers without Joel Embiid anymore. That's a useless saying. The guy's never there. That's just the Sixers.
Okay, but you understand.
No, I get what you're saying.
That when he's healthy, that is without a doubt their best player.
Right, I understand that, but all I'm saying is it's more or less the saying should become the Sixers, oh my, they actually have him. They never have the guy. The damn guy don't play any games.
I guess.
And Maxey might be the best player on the team now.
Yeah, by the way, Viche Edgecombe's a freaking stud. I know I said it earlier in the year. He is awesome. He had a double-double for them in game 2.
How about I'll say this. I don't know if it's the NBA's got to be thrilled because nobody gets excited for these first-round series. And every series in the Eastern Conference is knotted up a game apiece except the Cavaliers series.
Yeah, which is crazy considering that the Cavs, by seeding, would have the toughest matchup.
Right. Because the Hawks got the Knicks for one at the Garden. The Sixers, as we said, and Kevin liked to point out, without Joel Embiid. The Sixers, as regularly constructed, I'm going to say.
That's okay.
Went and got one at the TD Garden. And
how do you feel about the East right now?
I like the Cavaliers' chances after what I've seen from everybody the first 2 games. And then
in terms of
who's the other matchup that we're lacking? We said the Sixers, Celtics, Knicks,
Pistons,
Hawks.
Magic.
Yeah, Orlando got one at the Little Caesars at the Pizza Box.
Which, by the way, I know I said it. I said it at the beginning of the year. I'm not going to say I'm right, by the way. I said at the beginning of the year that the Magic I thought would be a wild card team that could be like a top 3 to 4 seed to contend in the East. I do not think that currently, but the fact that they took one in Detroit already, I think says a lot. I also think it says a lot of just how young that Pistons team is, or maybe not even young, but how inexperienced in the playoffs that Pistons team is. Led by, of course, J.B. Bickerstaff. I think the Pistons still ultimately come out of that series. I just think the star power there is too much. I think Paolo Banchero, as much as I like him, he's not one of those guys that can carry a team. Past maybe even the first round, honestly. The mid-range shot's just not there. I think he's one of those guys that, when it comes to, what is it? Ethicless basketball. What do they call it?
Positionless basketball.
No, not. It's oh my God, why am I blanking on the term for it? Unethical basketball.
Yeah, maybe.
He's, I think, one of the guys up there that takes very much advantage of the free throw foul baiting. From what we've experienced in playoff series against Paolo Banchero.
I would agree with that. So
unethical basketball.
Let's get back to our guys. What do you think for the next two in Toronto? You think they split them?
I think they split them, and then I think they win the series at home in Game 5. I went into the series very pessimistic. If you listened last week, I thought Cavs were going to win it in 6. Obviously, end up probably facing Detroit, and that probably ends up being a 6 to 7 game series. But from what I've seen of the Cavs so far, and I know things can switch literally like that, I've loved what I've seen from the Cavs so far. I feel very confident in them splitting in Toronto and being able to win the series at home in 5 games.
All right. Well, I'm right there with you. I think the Cavs take a gentleman's sweep here.
Okay.
And I didn't think that last week.
A sweep would get me almost overly optimistic about this team, I think.
Well, and the other thing is...
Especially coming off a stretch in which you didn't even really go all out and start all of your guys and start them 30 to 35 minutes the last 10 days of the year.
The only
last
thing,
week and a half.
And I brought it up before, the only thing I think, like, if Toronto doesn't get back Emmanuel quickly, they may get swept. Like, I think that it makes that big of a difference.
I don't know. I could see it. I could see him. I could see Emmanuel quickly having one of those games that gets the 6 all fired up in Toronto. But
yeah.
I think this game I think whether quickly comes back or not, I think the series isn't over. I think the series is over in 5 games.
All right. I'm going to go 5-2, but with quickly or without quickly, I might even be willing to go 4.
How do you think the other series shake up in the East? We got Detroit, obviously. Detroit, Orlando, going back to Orlando. Orlando, one of, I'm not going to say one of the easiest places to play in the NBA, but it's definitely not one of the toughest.
Yeah, I think I'll still take the Pistons in 6.
I'm going to take the Pistons in 6, too. That's what I was thinking as well.
How about the 76ers in the All East Coast series, Philly and Boston?
With that series going back to Philly, I know Philly can be a rough place to play at times.
In all sports, their fans are brutal.
Yeah, I do think the Celtics still take that series in 5 games. I think they win both. I think they win both in Philly, and I think they win Game 5 in Boston.
I think the Celtics in 5, yeah, with these.
You think so, too?
Yeah. And then finally...
I think New York in 6 against Atlanta.
Okay, so you think Atlanta could get one at home.
Well, I think... Yes, I do.
I don't know how to pronounce his name, which I hate admitting on the air, but the kid who the Hawks took number 1...
Zachary Rissachet?
Whatever the hell his name is. He's irrelevant. He's getting DNP'd coaches' decisions. This guy's got to be up there with Anthony Davis.
Anthony Bennett.
Anthony Bennett is one of the biggest, crocks of crap of all time with the number 1 overall pick.
The only reason I'm going to say he's not is because I know he's had some pretty good regular season performances, like this year currently, and Anthony Bennett... He had the 1 year here, never amounted to anything, went to Minnesota, and then we never heard from him again, it seemed like. I know he got a random chance to play with the Brooklyn Nets at one point.
He was also randomly on the Raptors at one point, his hometown team.
Yeah, his hometown team, yeah. Anthony Bennett, man, I remember being at that draft party downtown at the Q, and I wanted Victor Oladipo that year. Not that, Oladipo was never like a franchise-changing player, but
would have been a hell of a lot better than him.
I wanted him or Nerlens Noel. I actually also liked Ben McLemore that year, but
I can't not like that Ricochet kid. I don't know if I'm saying it right. But
I think you actually just said it perfectly fine right there. I think you might have said it better than I did the previous 2.
Whatever. For the Hawks to have a playoff team, and
did he really get DNP'd?
Both first 2 games, yeah.
That's insane.
Well, he must not. If he can't crack the Atlanta Hawks rotation.
Well, the Hawks went on a nice little run after they got rid of Trae Young.
Well, how about
which is insane?
How about C.J. McCollum's turned back to clock Northeast Ohio's own there?
Yeah,
he has. He was excellent at the Garden the other night. Were you verifying that Zachary?
Yeah, I'm trying to see the Zachary Rissachet. I'm trying to see if he really got DNP'd or not. Let's see.
Well, the guy stinks.
Yeah, unless he's hurt. Yeah, Game 2 he did not play.
He didn't play in Game 1 either.
He must not have. Wow. Yeah, that's insane. Because I thought he actually played pretty well for the Hawks this year from what I saw, but apparently I must have seen something different.
Yeah, Kevin, let's be honest. How much Atlanta Hawks did you sit there and tune in?
Well, no, 100%. But you tune into you see the highlights on social media. You tune into Sports Center or all those shows. You see some of those those takes. So
yeah, either way, I think the Knicks in 5.
I'm going to say 6.
Okay.
I'm going to say that they split in Atlanta, and then the Knicks win the next 2.
All right. Well, let's move on. A little bit of baseball. First of all, I got to start with a personal note here.
Yep.
I went to the Guardians went 4-3 on the homestand.
Mm-hmm.
I personally went 3-0 being in the building on the homestand.
Sounds like you got to go more often.
I go to like 20 to 25 games a year. How much more do you want out of me?
I don't know. More than that.
I don't have much time left.
No.
And shout out to everybody who took care of me. I didn't pay a penny to go to any of these 3 home games. You know who you are out there. Thank you guys.
Friend of the show.
Both of you.
Friends of the show.
Yeah, last night I got to sit in a suite. That's always fun. Right behind home plate. Very close to Tom Hamilton's booth. Either way, let me start with the homestand. The way it started was it ended today. They ended up going 4-3 on the homestand. So they started off really well by taking 3 of 4 from the O's, but it still kind of felt like a gut punch because the bullpen shit all over themselves on Friday night.
Yeah, which is a routine thing nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, the bullpen, that's the biggest worry area of the team.
Yep.
Can I say how cool Thursday was, though? There wasn't a lot of people there. And I went with a friend of the show, Philly, and his dad and my dad. 4 of us went and thought we were just going to a regular Thursday night game, and little did we know we were in for damn near history. Parker Messick is a dog. All right, let's call it for what it is.
He's a true ace, I think, and he's our 2, essentially, behind Gavin.
Yeah, let's call it for what it is. Parker Messick's a dog. It was really cool. I really thought he was going to get it because they always say in a no-hitter you have to have like 2 or 3 special plays. Well, he got him. He got the Quan leap at the wall.
Yep.
He got the Jose not ball right next to the net or whatever. So, yeah, that was great to see. Then we go over the homestand. Then we go to Friday night. They have runners on base all night. They can't get anything going. And then Daniel Schneemann, who's just been phenomenal this year, comes up and puts the team on his back. And then Armstrong.
And then what did the bullpen do?
Shit all over themselves.
Shit all over themselves.
Yeah. Then we go to Saturday's game, which I was also at. Brian Rocchio has extended playoff Rocchio like 12 months of the year now.
Oh, he's awesome.
He is tied for the team lead in RBIs. Hits a 3-run homer out of nowhere. You know, they had not even gotten a hit until the inning that he did. Of course, Schneemann, who's like better than a utility player, in my opinion. Like he is, should be an everyday starter.
Yep.
Okay. Schneemann gets a hit, and then Rocchio comes up with a 3-run homer, and then Bo hits a homer, which was great to see, except for the fact that Bo has literally done nothing since that homer on Saturday. Then Sunday, they get this nice big lead, and Juan Brito was trying to be the biggest giver ever. He's trying his damnedest to give the Astros the lead back. He really tried, really hard. Juan Brito's defense is a problem.
Yeah,
it's bad. For a kid who's 20-some years old, I don't understand why he's so bad defensively.
Yeah, and there's routine. The routine plays are extremely frustrating. There was a play that he made where he's like jogging towards first base, air mails it. Thank God Rhys Hoskins was able to at least glove it, or else that's probably
another air.
Maybe going to. I think they ruled it an air.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the following play, I know he got some backlash from the fans on this. It was literally the following batter. It's a routine ground ball, flips it to second base to Rocchio. Rocchio does not get his foot down on the bag. All runners are safe and a run scores. And I saw Juan Brito was getting an immense amount of backlash for that play as well. I'm not going to put that play on him because I do think he made it. I think it was a fine play. Got the ground ball, flipped it. Rocchio just unfortunately didn't get the foot down. But to the fans' point, that play doesn't happen if you just get the ball. If you just get the ball to first place, the batter beforehand, the inning's over. We don't worry about either of those runs scoring. So you can directly correlate 2 of those runs scoring that inning to Juan Brito's fielding. It's frustrating. And if you're going to just randomly come through once every 3 games with a big hit to score a run, it's not worth having you in the field.
Exactly. And the only thing that I can counter that Juan Brito with is maybe it was just because you hold your breath every time a ball's hit the second he's in the game now. But honest to God, it felt like he took 150 years to get that ball out of his glove to Rocchio.
Yeah. Well, I think it might have been even the inning after that. It seemed like he was aiming the ball towards Hoskins.
Yeah. No, you pointed that out to me. We were watching it live together on Sunday, and it's like, dude, why is he like, he is as nervous as a 7-year-old in U7 right now.
The only thing I could think of
WTF
was because it was a faster ground ball that was hit towards him, and Hoskins was still running towards first, so maybe he was just waiting for him to get there. That's the only thing I could think of, but it really looked like he was like aiming the ball at Rhys Hoskins. I mean, he got it there in time, but
and then I thought it was interesting that, let's the sky was blue today. Jose Ramirez broke another record. He now has the most multi-homer games in club history.
Yep.
And after all that, Juan Brito tried his best, and Jose was like, Juan, you're trying your best to give this game to the Orioles. I'm not letting it happen. He comes up next inning, leads it off with a solo shot.
And he gave the old pat on the chest. That was pretty sick,
he knows.
too.
He knows who runs the show.
Yeah, he does.
And then, to finish out the homestand, let's talk Monday. They just got absolute. Slade Ciccone just didn't have it from like moment one.
Yeah, and that's a guy going into the year that we knew with him being our 5. You're going to have the Slade Ciccone 6 innings, gave up 1 to 2 runs. You're also going to have the Slade Ciccone 5 innings, gave up 4 to 5 runs. Like, it comes with the territory, of Slade Ciccone. So I'm not by any means like throwing him to the fire or anything like that. I still have some faith in Slade for the rest of the year to be a decent starter.
Probably looks like he's a 5, like by long term, right? And then
if you get a great start out of him, it's just a plus.
Right, exactly. So Monday's game, throw out the window, whatever. You lose to the terrible Astros. Then last night, I could feel myself starting to get angry in the suite. I'm like, you don't drop 2 or 3 to the Astros. Like, they're bad right now. They are playing Daniel Johnson, who we had like 10 years ago, it feels like.
Yeah,
he was a prize piece of the Yan Gomes trade. They are playing this guy as like a 30-year-old journeyman outfielder because they have so many injuries. You don't lose. And then I was pissed at Manzardo at first, though, because Jose draws a walk. Clearly they wanted nothing to do with him. Fine. Manzardo hits a double play on a 3-0 fastball. I'm like, they're going to lose. And then the next inning, it all starts with, who's that guy I keep bringing up? Daniel Schneemann is the man.
Stud.
Leads off with a walk. Okay. Then you get a base hit. Then you get, of course, the king himself, Brian Rocchio, the best 9-hitter in baseball, comes with an RBI single. Then you walk Quaney. You got the bags loaded. And I don't think any of us wanted to face the facts. Chase DeLauder was 1 for his last 28. And so you do start to worry just a little bit. And then Chase is like, everybody starts singing Country Roads again. Hold my beer. And hits a 3-run triple. All is good. Well, it ends well. Manzardo comes back with a hit. And then Cade Smith, it's customary now, had to give up at least 1 run. And they take an 8-5 win. Now you're thinking, okay, Houston's got their 5 tomorrow. We got Tanner Bybee on the mound. Tanner Bybee pitched the best he has all year in this homestand. He had no runs given up on Friday night, 6 innings. Today he goes 6 and gives up 2 runs. That's more than fine from your ace. Yep. Today I put it back on the offense. 5 hits against Peter Lambert. Come on. Another journeyman. Today's on the offense. They should have won the series. Now you go 4-3 homestand. You say, okay, fine. But really, the way that the 2 losses that bother me, I'm not going to even factor in Monday. You just got shellacked from the get-go. Mm-hmm. But today's loss to lose 2-0, and then Friday's the gut punch of the bullpen just shitting all over themselves. Those 2 hurt, so it should have been a better homestand than when it was. Now, you got to go to Toronto, and Toronto's not playing great. Excuse me. And I apologize.
Did you sneeze?
It was.
Bless you.
Thank you. Toronto's not playing great. You go for a quick 3-game road trip, and ironically, maybe they'll be staying at the same hotel. The Cavs and Guardians are both heading north of the border.
Yeah, that is funny. They probably go 1-2, honestly, in that series. I do want to give myself a little bit of credit. With all the negativity surrounding the Tribe last week, I guaranteed an Orioles series win.
You did.
And what happened?
You were right.
That's right.
Should have been a sweep.
It should have been, but they still won the series. All right, you got to try to be optimistic, Jerome. It's a long series or a long season, excuse me.
It is.
You're going to blow some games. You're going to win some games that you shouldn't. At the end of the day, it all evens out.
Right. I like that they're going to Toronto. Toronto's overall kind of underachieved so far this year, so you'd like to go there and take 2 out of 3.
At some point, you figure that they're going to turn it on, though, at some point.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you just hope it's not this upcoming series.
Right. You hope that they don't come home from their West Coast trip and like, hey, we're back in Canada.
Exactly.
And that their bats just start firing on all cylinders.
You hope the playoff basketball atmosphere doesn't get to them and they start getting excited.
That's right. I agree. I know he's been hitting the ball hard and he's been unlucky this year, but is it time to have the conversation about Bo? I mean, he is down to 130.
Yeah.
I know that I was there Saturday. It was great to see him hit a absolute piss missile of a home run, but I think it's time. I mean, they pinch hit him yesterday for Hedgie. He struck out. I was fine with the pinch hit. He comes back today. He just looks lost up there. He was really super unlucky the first handful of weeks, but he's popping everything up. He looks clueless.
I mean, this is our 5th season of Bo Naylor, correct?
Yeah, I mean 2022 he barely played, but yeah.
5th total season of seeing him up here. I mean, it's been time, I think.
We were talking about him getting non-tenured to last year on our baseball show, one of our baseball specialty episodes. And then he comes back and he makes us all look like asses in September because he lights the world on fire.
Yeah.
And outside of Jose, may have been the best offensive player for the team in September. And then it's like,
absolutely.
You hope that translates to something. I mean, he's hitting 130. And I know Stephen Vogt, what's he going to say? Like, they asked him about it the other day. He's like, well, Bo's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting into a lot of bad luck, yada, yada, yada. Like, he's still striking out a ton. The thing with Bo Naylor is he is pretty good defensively. Like, I have no problem with Bo Naylor's defense.
He's gotten a lot better over the years, too. Like, he was one of those guys, it seemed like we always talked about the potential of his offense and that he was a decent defender behind the plate, but I never thought the narrative behind the plate matched what we actually saw on the field. It seemed like he always had a random drop per game, but his defense has absolutely stepped up. I still look at that, what was it, last season? The one where he did like a 360 throw to second base, threw him out. Like, he does have some of those wow plays from behind the plate. But again, if you're batting him, especially when you're batting him in the middle of the lineup, and he's almost a guaranteed out, which seems like every game, it's extremely frustrating to get through those first 4 to 5 batters, have him come up, and then just deflate the entire offense is what it seems like.
And I know the fans are over the Bo experiment. I don't know if the organization is, but let's just call it for what it is. You have Cooper Engel in AAA, who is a prospect, and he's hitting the ball well down there.
Right-handed batter, too, correct?
I believe so, and I'm not positive on that. Don't quote me on that, but
I'll look it up just to verify, but I'm almost certain he is.
You have Bo, who has options, but, I don't really know. Maybe the only thing that, I know I'm going to make a point.
No, he's a lefty.
Okay, we're both wrong.
Yeah, my fault.
Okay. Oh, well, add him to the list of 10,000 they have in the organization, whatever. The thing with Bo is, I know people are like, well, maybe try Bo in AAA because, it worked really well for Rocchio, and look, Rocchio's taken off since then. But, in Bo's defense, Bo came up in 22
I was
for
about
the
to say,
playoffs.
Rocchio's only been, a full-time player for us for 2.5 years now.
Yeah, Bo's been in the big leagues for a while. I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm not saying I'm the authority figure here. I don't know though, from my vantage point, being that Bo Naylor's been a full-time catcher since June of 2023 on this team, so that's 3.5 going on 4 years. What good is him going to the Clippers really going to do?
I don't think anything. I think him going down to the Clippers would be just enough to give the fan base more optimism to bring him back up and be disappointing again.
Yeah, and I don't know, the thing is, you're in a position where you probably could, though. I mean, I know you don't have a lefty. You leave yourself without a lefty hitter as a catcher, but, you have 2 other catchers on the roster. To me, in my mind, that makes him expendable too, but I know how Stephen Vogt is, and he's going to want a lefty catcher.
Well, that, and I was really beating the drum really the last couple of years that once David Fry got healthy, that's who I wanted to see as the full-time catcher of this team. And there's been a couple instances this year that have shown me that, hey, maybe that should not be the case. Maybe that should be a David Fry on a Sunday type of game can play catcher.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I want him being full-time catcher. Like, I still look at that play that Angel Martinez against the Orioles threw an absolute laser,
Cardinals.
The Cardinals, excuse me, threw an absolute laser beam from right field. I thought he saved the game that day, and then David Fry botched it at the plate. I mean, granted, you could say it could have been a better throw, but like, you as a catcher, you have to make that play with the game on the line in that situation, and Fry didn't. I still like David Fry as a utility guy. I like him playing each of the corners, third and first, corner outfield on the occasion, and then maybe like I just said on the Sunday, throw him in at catcher just to give him some reps there in case we need him. But I don't think you can rely on him, and I don't think you can rely on him being the second catcher on the team.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also wonder, like, everyone's like, well, Austin Hedges is hitting well. That's because Austin Hedges is only playing a couple days a week.
But also, if Austin Hedges is going to bat 130 to 140 as we are used to him doing, and that's what Bo Naylor's doing now, let me take the immaculate defense with it.
Yeah, you're probably right, and I don't know. We've noticed this on the show. We've discussed this. Parker Messick has not thrown to anybody but Austin Hedges. He's absolutely turned.
It's like with Trevor Bauer throwing to Roberto Perez
constantly.
Right,
it's turning into like Austin Hedges is absolutely Parker Messick's personal catcher.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with Bo, but I think they are. The problem is they always see this shit way longer after the fans do. So it wouldn't surprise me if Bo was hanging around till Memorial Day, but like, we're all seeing it. Like, you guys got to see it. A decision on Bo has to be made probably sooner rather than later. And to finish it up, I don't really know what hitting a bunch of home runs at Huntington Bank Park's going to do for him.
Yeah, neither do I.
So maybe just a DFA, which that sucks because it would ultimately end up being as a bust of a first round pick.
Absolutely. Which, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's something that this fan base is used to. Great transition, by the way, because I know what you're doing.
First round picks.
We've got two of them.
Da-da-da-dun.
Da-da-dun-dun-dun.
You'll be hearing that tomorrow night.
Gosh, I just got so excited.
Kevin's arm hairs are standing up.
Well, as we look at the time, it is now 8:10 Wednesday evening, which means Fernando Mendoza is probably a Raider.
Yeah, I would say
24 hours from now.
Now, listen, Mr. Draft, is it true that they're cutting the time of picks?
Yeah, from 10 to 8. 10 minutes to 8 minutes. Which originally, when I first started the draft, when we first started watching the draft back when we were really in elementary school, even middle school, it was like 15 minutes per pick. And
and people forget the whole damn thing was done on Saturday.
Well, the first 3 rounds were done on Saturday, and then the rounds 4 through 7 were on Sunday.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it was a long day. I still remember the first draft I ever watched, 2007. Really, really excited. The Browns with the 3rd overall pick. Wanted Brady Quinn so bad. And they broke my heart by drafting the best left tackle in franchise history.
There you go. Let's talk about it. I'm not, like, again, I know about the draft. Let's just put it, we're going tomorrow night.
Yeah, we're going.
In fact, we will probably We'll post a couple pictures on the socials.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to have, well, by noon, I'm gonna have my final my first and only mock draft, believe it or not, of the season posted.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna have one that I'm gonna predict some trades in as well. So I'm gonna post 2 of them tomorrow.
All right, so look out for that.
The day of.
Look out for that if you're watching the episode.
I'm gonna post them on my personal X, and then I'll share it on our actual business X account.
Okay.
We'll do the same thing on the gram.
All right, so look out for that at CLE Sports Realm
Correct.
on Twitter and Instagram. Kevin's going to have you locked and loaded.
That's right.
Okay, I am excited to go because when it was here in Cleveland, not that it was a bad thing, it was a really cool experience for me. I got to work the draft when it was here, but I also didn't get to experience it as a fan, so I'm looking forward to my first draft as a fan.
I'm excited to be at the draft with a full crowd. Cleveland got shafted in 2021.
Oh, yeah, because of the virus.
So there wasn't a lot of people that were there. And when you look at, and I still hate that they post these stupid ass attendance numbers because Cleveland doesn't even come close to the rest of the rest of the cities that have hosted because of the pandemic.
And that's only because every doctor in the world told Cleveland they couldn't.
Yeah, and Fauci was pissed anybody showed up to the damn thing anyway. But that's
okay. Let's not go there. Tony
I'm
Fauci used to be on our televisions every day.
Yeah.
6 years
not
ago.
Not my television, but I would occasionally scroll past him on the old social media. But Cleveland got shafted that year, so I'm looking forward to. I mean, this is now 5 years later. The Browns have 2 first-round picks in Pittsburgh. It should be a fun time. And Pittsburgh, a city that I've always hated growing up, but every time I've gone there, I've had a good experience in the city of Pittsburgh. I will say.
Let me go ahead and give it its love. I grew up 45 minutes north of there, and it is a fun city to go to. I love the way it's laid out. If you're ever in that area between PNC Park and it's not Heinz Field anymore. I'm blanking on the current name of the new place.
Acrisure.
Thank you. Yes, that area right there, they've really built up, and it's a lot of fun. And I imagine we'll be drinking some cocktails there tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time we're going to have tomorrow night. We're meeting a few. Well, I'm meeting a former coworker of mine down there that will join, and unfortunately, he's a Steelers fan, but he's a great guy, great sports fan. So it'll be a fun time down in Pittsburgh. I'm really excited.
And I think a lot of Browns fans will make the trip.
I do too.
Yeah.
Especially, what's funny, man? For the Cavs playing Game 3 of the playoffs, I think over 50% of the fan base, the Cleveland fan base, is going to be paying attention to the draft. We
talked about this on Saturday at Unnamed Establishment by Rocket Arena. Myself, my dad, and Philly Ann, and we were in front of the show, and we were saying, hey, the Cavs are going to play a playoff basketball game, and everybody in this city will be watching grown-ass men walk across the stage to hug a man we can't stand.
Yeah, they're going to be paying attention to our 5-12 football team and what players they're going to bring onto the team. And probably only going to be 2 players tomorrow unless the Browns make a spicy trade, whether it's early in the draft or later in the draft.
All right, I'm not going to ask you to mock your whole first round. That'll come to our viewers tomorrow on social media. But I'm going to ask you to do an exercise, and I didn't discuss this with you before we went on the air. So if you're not comfortable doing that, that's fine. Can you give our listeners 1 through 6 who goes where up until the Browns pick in your eyes?
Yeah, well, I think the first. I originally thought the first 7 to 8 picks were going to be locked, not necessarily player to each team, but these players were for sure going to be in the top 8. And there's recent buzz now, so we didn't even touch on this because the trade happened over the weekend, but the Bengals now traded the 10th overall pick for Dexter Lawrence to the Giants.
Dexy's going to Cincy.
So the Giants now have 2 top 10 picks, one at 5, one at 10. And all the hoopla surrounding the Giants is that they love Jordan Tyson. They love him, and they want to get him at 10. But now all of a sudden there's, the Commanders need a receiver. The Browns need a receiver. The Saints could use a receiver. Believe it or not, the Chiefs could look at drafting receivers. So you got the Giants at 5, they could take them there. There's even rumblings of the Titans at 4. Maybe they take a Carnell Tate or a Jordan Tyson. I heard this morning that the Giants love Jordan Tyson so much they might take him at 5, knowing there's a chance he might not get there at 10.
Wow.
That's what I heard this morning. Again, we're recording Wednesday evening. So this was about 36 hours prior to the draft. That was the latest rumor that I heard. Now, number 1's been a foregone conclusion. It's Fernando Mendoza. It's been that way basically since probably November, December, realistically. Maybe not the Raiders having the number 1 pick at that point, but everybody and their mom knew that Fernando Mendoza is probably going to be the number 1 pick for the last 5 months. Number 2, still up in the air from what I'm reading. It's going to be between Texas Tech defensive end edge rusher David Bailey and then Ohio State linebacker defensive end hybrid Arvell Reese. I saw the odds are now in favor of David Bailey, but it seems to be every 2 to 3 days that's been switching. So it really comes down to what the Jets want. I know Arvell Reese is more of a, more of a prediction or speculation on how good he can be because he wasn't an edge rusher for his entire career at Ohio State. He played a lot of stand-up linebacker. He transitioned to edge rusher. Did pretty well there, but David Bailey was a guy who transferred from Stanford, was at Texas Tech, has a great get-off. and had 14 sacks last year. So it's more of a production versus prediction when it comes to those two and what the Jets want. If I were the Jets, I think I would just take the surefire edge rusher and David Bailey, just knowing that that's what he has been and that's what he's been good at. It's not necessarily a knock on Arvell Reese. It's just, are you willing to take that bet at number 2 overall? I don't know if I would be.
Sure.
What do you think? Knowing from what you've seen of Arvell Reese, being an Ohio State fan, what do you think of Arvell Reese potentially being drafted primarily as an edge rusher?
Yeah, I watched Arvell Reese, and he was phenomenal, but I quite frankly, just as a Buckeye fan, thought that as the year went on, teams figured him out a little bit more and more. So if I was an NFL GM, I think that would worry me a little bit, but then it's tough because I also go back to that tape at the beginning of the year, and I say, well, good God, the guy dominated everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that Arvell Reese would probably be a higher risk, but the reward could be much greater.
Yeah, and that's basically the sentiment among the league that I've been reading as well, is you know what you're going to get with David Bailey, you don't know what you're going to get with Arvell Reese. Now, we've seen that before in the past where you think you know what you're getting, a la Trent Richardson. I mean, different position, but that was a surefire.
14 years ago.
That was 14 years ago, but that's also hey, this is a surefire guy. You cannot miss on this guy. And I mean, for his Browns career, the Browns didn't miss, really, but the Colts did when they traded a first-round pick. Therefore, the Browns did because we got Johnny Manziel out of that pick. But regardless, and then basically what they're saying, the draft starts at 2. It's going to be Reese or Bailey. And then at 3, the Cardinals keep flip-flopping week to week. The latest thing is now they love Jeremiah Love. Are they willing to take him at 3 overall, knowing that they just spent money on Tyler Algier? They still have James Conner in the backfield. Doesn't really make sense to take him at 3. There's a lot of rumblings of teams wanting to trade up. The Chiefs, the Cowboys, trading up to that 3 spot to make sure that they can secure whoever the Jets don't take, whether it's Reese or Bailey. That leaves the Titans at 4.
Jeremiah Love's where I've heard.
That's what I've heard as well, but also Robert Sala's there. Robert Saleh had Fred Warner, who Sonny Styles compared to.
Fred Warner.
There's a lot of rumblings of Sonny Styles. Maybe if the Cardinals do take Jeremiah Love, do they take Arvell Reese or David Bailey at 4? Nobody knows. Then at 5, the Giants. Rumor has it the Giants, like I said, they love Jordan Tyson. They absolutely love him. I don't know if they would take him at 5. But then again, maybe that's a spot where, hey, if Arvell Reese somehow falls there, like maybe if Jeremiah Love goes 3, the Titans go Sonny Styles. You know, we've seen the Giants take Kayvon Thibodeau. They just took why am I blanking? They just took Abdul Carter. So they have the edge rushers, but is it more of a luxury pick of, hey, this kid fell to us, and then we pick him, and do we figure it out?
Well, the thing with Kayvon Thibodeau is he's probably due for a 5th-year option, right?
Yeah.
So the Giants will tell you if they're interested in him long-term, because I feel like Kayvon Thibodeau's had flashes, but he hasn't overall lived up to where he was drafted.
I agree, and that was a draft when the Giants took him. They walked out of that draft with Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal and thought they had 2 true cornerstones of their franchise.
And this is why draft grades immediately after are useless. The Giants got A+ from every insider who could give them an A+.
Yeah, and it ended up being a horrible draft for them, unfortunately. So yeah, and then you run into the Browns at 6.
All right, I'm stopping you there.
Okay. You want to discuss this?
This is where we want to know. All right, Mr. Draft, what do they do? Do they trade this thing down? That's been the talk of the town, at least in Cleveland. I was listening to a couple different radio stations today. WTAM 1100. Fred Greetham, Orange and Brown Report, who's been covering the team forever, thinks that they will not trade down and they will make the selection. Then I hear other people tell me who cover the team they are trading down. What do you think they're going to do, Kevin?
As of right now, I think they're going to stand pat, but I don't think it's because it's what they want to do. I think it's because there's not going to be a team that's going to be willing to give up what the Browns want. I think the Browns, I don't think the Browns are going to think that they can get a haul like they did last year for the number 2 pick. That was an unprecedented haul, truthfully, just to move back 3 spots. I think you're looking at the Cowboys in this position. Surprisingly, a player I have not mentioned yet, Caleb Downs, absolutely a player that the Browns could look to move down from if a team gets desperate enough and wants to move up for him. I think the Cowboys would make a lot of sense. I think the Browns could hold that pick hostage, see if they can get 12 and 20. I don't think the Cowboys would be willing to do that, though.
Yeah, but can you take advantage of early onset dementia? No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, Jerry Jones, who thinks he still
maybe
has the league, the league by the balls.
Maybe you can. I don't know, but I'm starting to hear a lot of things about Caleb Downs falling in the draft, and I'm talking like falling all the way to 10 potentially.
Why?
Whereas
why
the Giants,
is that happening, Kevin?
From what I'm hearing.
From what you're being told.
No,
yeah.
Genuinely from what I'm hearing, it's that safety is the most least valuable position on defense. Therefore, it's not worth trading up for a guy like that or taking him that high.
Okay.
But when you look at the rest of the class, I think Caleb Downs is a top 3 player in this class, unquestioned. Like, if I were the Browns, I've been on record saying this, I would take him at 6. I would take him and not even think about it. Just because I think he's that much of a difference maker. I think even though you have Ronnie Hickman and you have Grant Delpit back there, you don't have a nickel guy. Caleb Downs played a lot of nickel for the Buckeyes. He played in the box a lot. He played deep for them. He was almost a better Jabril Peppers for the Ohio State Buckeyes, in my opinion. Even you could argue a better return man. He was pretty good in the return game for the Buckeyes as well. Love Caleb Downs. Realistically speaking, I don't think Caleb Downs is even a thought for the Browns, honestly. Knowing what the potential options are, if they do not trade down, it sounds like it's going to be Carnell Tate or Spencer Fano. I personally would take Carnell Tate. I think he's basically a carbon copy of Des Bryant. They ran the same 40. They run very similarly when it comes to routes. They both have the jump ball ability. They're both 6'2". Like, everything that Carnell Tate does on the football field reminds me of Des Bryant. Carnell Tate's a good blocker as well. What do the Browns do a lot of? Running the football. Like, Carnell Tate screams to me AFC North wide receiver. I would just take him and not even think about it. It's not that I don't like Spencer Fano. I just think that's a guy who played multiple positions in college. He was obviously a great right tackle at Utah. I don't want to try to worry about that transition again. I know he played left tackle at one point in his career at Utah, but then Caleb Lomu comes in and he takes the job basically from Spencer Fano, and Fano moves over to right tackle. I think Caleb Lomu is the better tackle in this class that went to Utah, and I think there's a possibility you can either get him at 24 or you can trade up from 24 into like the late teens, maybe give up a 3rd-round pick, and then all of a sudden you have a left tackle that's known for pass blocking, a wide receiver that's known to not drop the football, and if you're trying to put a young quarterback in a good spot, that's the way that I would build this thing. I think if you take Spencer Fano at 6, I think you could be worrying about a transition period with him at left tackle, whereas I know the drop-off from wide receiver from 6 to 24 is not nearly as steep, or is way more steep, than the drop-off is from tackle from 6 to 24. So I would take the bona fide stud receiver in Carnell Tate and then find your tackle at 24 is the way that I would do it. My gut is telling me right now that they're going to go Fano at 6, though.
Really?
That's what my gut's telling me.
That's not what you want them to do. That's what you think they will do.
Yes. The only thing that gives me a little bit of faith is that ever since Andrew Berry took over, I wanted Jedrick Wills in 2020. He took Jedrick Wills. I wanted Greg Newsome in 2021. He took Greg Newsome. I wanted them to trade down from 2 and grab Mason Graham. He traded down from 2 and took Mason Graham. Everything that I have wanted the Browns to do in the first round since Andrew Berry has taken over, he has done. So the fact that I'm sitting here saying I want them to take Carnell Tate, I'm hoping that Andrew Berry is on the same wavelength as me once again. But I have a gut feeling just based off of what the reports are with how much everybody's saying that they love this Fano kid from Utah and that they think they might even be able to trade down and get him at 9 or 10 if the Chiefs, let's say, want to come up for one of those edge rushers, if one of the edge rushers slip. I have a feeling they might just stick and pick at 6 and then take Fano, which worries me about what the receivers would be left at 24.
Yeah, I've decided in my own mind with hiring an offensive head coach, and I think Todd's going to have a lot of say. I think, obviously it's Andrew's decision at the end of the day, but I think Todd does have a lot of say here. I think Todd he probably has watched enough game tape last year where he probably looked and said, Jesus, this offense blows. So I think they're taking 2 offensive players no matter what.
I think it's tackle and receiver no matter what. I mean, this screams back to when the season ended and we sat here, and Jerome, you were the one beating the drum, receiver, offensive tackle, no matter what. And I was the one basically saying, hey, I understand that we need those positions. I want best player available, which is why I've been beating the Caleb Downs train. But from all the reports, the Daniel Jeremiahs, the Peter Schraegers, the Ari Mayrovs, all these guys, it's offensive tackle and wide receiver that the Browns are exclusively targeting in this first round, which goes to tell me they want to set up their quarterback in a position to succeed this year, whether it's Deshaun or Shador. Whether it's between those two, I know I've been beating the drum the last year that I don't want to see it. I would much rather see Shador Sanders out there than Deshaun
God.
Watson. No, I would. I'm done with Watson. I'd much rather see Sanders. And if you're going to take a receiver and Tate at 6, and you're going to take a bona fide true left tackle in Caleb Lomu, that's what he played his entire career at Utah, that's known for pass protecting, you are putting Sanders in the best position to succeed in this league. And if he goes out there and he stinks, then you have your answer. Seriously.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But you go out there, you draft a left tackle that's known for pass blocking, and you draft a receiver that's known to not drop the football. You are putting your young quarterback in a good position to succeed. And if he doesn't, it's on him at that point. Granted, Tate and Lomu could suck. The draft's a crapshoot. We thought Marvin Harrison was going to be the next Calvin Johnson. Seriously.
Not really happened.
Has not happened yet. So even though they seem like surefire picks, they might not be. But that's what their analysis is going into this draft. And I'm not going to take a guy in Jordan Tyson, I'm sorry, that's got an injury history, that I think is more of a boomer bust player, and I'm not going to take a guy that's played multiple offensive line positions at 6. We've done that in the top 15 before. Cam Irving, does that ring a bell? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and then you moved Jed Wells, and it worked at the beginning, and then it fell.
Exactly.
And then you drafted before the horse.
You drafted a right tackle. You moved him over to left tackle, and Jedrick Wills. Granted, like I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, that was a move that I was a fan of when they made that decision. It ended up not panning out. I want to take the guy that's known for being a good pass blocker and was a left tackle his entire college career. I think Caleb Lomu's the better tackle from Utah. I honestly think he's the best tackle in this class.
Wow.
And if you're going to take a tackle at 6, the rumors are that Lomu could be there in the late teens, in the 20s. If you're going to take a tackle at 6, I'd honestly rather it be him, knowing that he's a pass blocker.
So let me just say this. I don't ever profess to know as much as the NFL draft as you, because that would just be a total lie. But I'm going to say this. You are right. I sat here in November and December and said you better draft a receiver in a tackle. And I'm going to sit here, but the night before we parade on out to Pittsburgh tomorrow. And I have never wavered from my stance.
I know you haven't.
If they don't draft a receiver and a quarterback, not a quarterback.
Oh,
no,
Ty Simpson.
No. No.
I do think Ty Simpson's going to be good, but
if they don't draft a receiver and a lineman, I will come and I will sit in this very chair next Wednesday evening and I will yell and I will get angry.
I actually think the Browns have a really good chance in this draft to turn around their entire receiver room. I think you go Tate at 6, you go Lomu at 24. You solidified the 2 glaring holes right now offensively, considering you basically revamped this entire offensive line this offseason.
Sure you did.
You've got Judkins coming back. You've got Sampson. I love that 1-2 punch in the backfield. You've got Judy, who, hey, hit or miss, whatever.
Hey, he's due to have a good year.
Yeah, he goes back and forth with him. He's due to have a good year. I think in the second round, I know I mentioned this last week, if no other teams look at this guy as a first-round pick and he's sitting there in the second round, I love taking a chance on a guy like Chris Brazzell or Chris Brazzell. I'm sorry, I might be butchering his last name. A guy who's 6'4", runs a 4.3 40, and goes up there and gets the ball and has great run after the catch ability. I think you partner that with Carnell Tate, and you've got a true X and a true Z, potentially, that I think it's worth a flyer on drafting 2 receivers in the first 2 rounds. I'm being dead-ass serious when I say that.
I'm going to say this. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I obviously have made it very clear what I want them to do. Let me say this, though. I will make a bold prediction. Not really bold, but I will make a prediction. The Browns will not go through this 7-round draft without trading at least twice. Andrew Berry always trades at least a few times.
Yeah, no, he absolutely does. We saw it last year. We saw he traded the Amon-Ra St. Brown pick.
He came up for JOK.
Yeah, Andrew Barry, that is something that, I've gone on record saying it. I might even sound like a broken record for the loyal listeners out there, but Andrew Barry is a guy that's not afraid to wheel and deal, and that's something I genuinely respect. He doesn't sit there and wait for the draft to come to him. If he sees a player he likes, he goes out there and he makes a move to get them. If he sees a very good chance to trade down, he makes that move as well. Like the way that Andrew Barry attacks the draft, I love. It's my favorite thing about him as a general manager, genuinely.
Wow. Okay.
You can take away the Deshaun Watson deal, or you can't take away from it. Obviously, you just take away the 3 first-round picks. You can't really judge the way he went about those drafts because he didn't have the first rounder. Granted, it was his fault. But it's my favorite thing about how he runs the football team is the way he operates the draft.
Real quick, Shador going to be the starter on opening day as of right now?
I don't think he's going to be. And honestly,
you're upset about it because I am.
I'm upset about it in the sense that I do not want it to be Watson and everything the Browns are posting right now with the 4s. They posted. The Browns had the audacity to post a few of their players holding up the jerseys when they were drafted. I think they posted Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Mason Graham, all those guys, and then Deshaun Watson's up there holding a Houston Texans jersey.
Nobody cares.
You're just trying to push this narrative of this fan base, and thank God the Cavs. I believe it was game 2. Deshaun Watson was sitting courtside. Heard from friend of the show, Passerell, that they did not show him on the jumbotron.
Thank God.
Yeah, that should be common sense because that place would have booed the crap out of him,
and rightly so,
and rightfully so. But that's what I'm hearing so far. The thing that I'm worried about when it comes to the draft right now for the Browns' sake, and the reason I think they probably go Fano at 6, is you get past pick 16. You've got the Lions at 17, Panthers at 19, Steelers at 21, Eagles at 23. That's 4 teams between the Browns and pick 17 that could really use a tackle.
They could.
You could even argue the Cowboys, who just are known to randomly take an offensive lineman when it's not even necessarily looked at as a need.
That's the one pick Jerry Jones hits on, though.
Hits on linemen routinely.
Yeah.
Routinely.
When Jerry Jones always does something outside the box that everybody criticizes, he actually hits on it. Like, people roasted him for CD.
People roasted him for taking Zach Martin over Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we have to remember, though, Jerry's lost a few more steps since he's made these moves.
That's right. Yep.
So hopefully the Browns can rip him off tomorrow. I mean, that is our best. That'd be nice. I wouldn't be opposed to trading down. If we could rip off old Jerry and the Cowboys, hell yeah, I'm all in.
I mean, hey, if you can trade down from 6, you get picks 12 and 20. Rumor is we'd probably have to throw in our second rounder. I honestly wouldn't do it at that point. I know there was a couple months ago that trade was speculated, and I was on the opposite side of that, where, hey, yeah, if you can jump up 19 picks to only drop back 6, I think it's worth it. I think the fall off from 6 to 12 with the players available, I don't think it would be worth it to move up 19 spots from 39 to 20. I just don't think it would be worth it at that time. I think you would miss out on
too much talent.
Too much talent. I think the receiver drop off is too significant, and I'm not gonna. I like Mekhi Lemon as a slot receiver. I don't like him as a first round pick. I think he's Jarvis Landry-esque, honestly, which is a good player, but I'm not gonna spend a first round pick on Jarvis Landry.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we close this thing out?
No, I mean, I guess other than the fact that rounds 2 and 3, I think the Browns could attack. I think they could maybe add to the defensive line a little bit more. I know the defensive line's a strength, but maybe get another rotational pass rusher in there. I know McGuire and Wright have been great. Maybe even add to the defensive tackle room just because Michael Hall hasn't done much for us. Mason Graham's obviously been great, and we've got a couple other veterans in there. Still Malik Collins and Shelby Harris.
Did they officially bring back Shelby?
I believe they did.
Okay, I don't know if I'm hoping so.
But you have depth on the defensive line. I just think you can get younger there and add younger talent for when Harris and Collins are gone. I think that's an area they could address, as well as potentially linebacker. I know Schlesinger was awesome and they signed Quincy Williams, but you could always add a third to fourth linebacker in there. And honestly, even secondary, now that I'm talking about it, past Denzel Ward and Tyson Campbell, there's really not a third corner. I wouldn't mind attacking corner in the second and third round, knowing that Emerson might not be back after that Achilles injury last year.
They did not officially re-sign Shelby, but they haven't done it the last 2 years to training camp, so I wouldn't put it past them.
Okay. Yeah, so that's That's the way that I would attack the draft if I were the Browns. Feel free to agree or disagree. Please comment if you agree or disagree, reasons why, because this is my Christmas tomorrow. This is my favorite day of the year. It really is. So.
That's right. We got to get going, actually, so make sure to follow us on Twitter, and Kevin's going to have his mocks for you tomorrow.
Yeah, they'll be out by noon.
We'll have some live coverage or live footage from Pittsburgh. Maybe we'll go live on a quick video or something.
Yeah. We'll be with friends of the show.
Yeah,
like you said, Kyle Ernie and Robbie Becker.
Right. So we might do something. We'll have something cooked up for you guys. But make sure to check all that out on the Instagram, on the Twitter, and on the TikTok at CLE Sports Realm. And this episode is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can watch on YouTube, watch on Spotify, and you can listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We got to go because Kevin's getting antsy. It's Christmas Eve for him. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate your continued support. And we'll be back for episode 77 of the Cleveland Sports Realm. Have a good night. Enjoy the draft. Go Cavs. Go Guards. Go Browns. Get it right. Doesn't happen too often. We hope for the best. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Adios.
Adios.